I'm on the hunt for something greater is wanting to convey that I'm not complacent.
That statement hit differently once the walkouts began. Just days after the draft, multiple NFL stars reportedly stepped away from their teams, leaving fans stunned and front offices scrambling. Now everyone wants to know the same thing: what pushed so many players to walk away at once? Fernando Mendoza, the first overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, is a 6'5", 236-pound Cuban-American quarterback out of Miami, Florida. Fernando Mendoza isn't just any #1 overall pick. He's the first Cuban-American quarterback ever taken with the top selection in NFL history, and the road that led him to that podium in Pittsburgh is one of the wildest journeys you'll ever hear about a college quarterback. Mendoza spent 3 seasons at the University of California in Berkeley before transferring to Indiana University for his senior year, and what he did at Indiana wasn't just impressive, it was historic. He won the Heisman Trophy. He led the Hoosiers to a perfect 16-0 national championship season. He threw for 3,535 yards on 273 of 379 passing. That's a 72% completion rate. He tossed 41 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions. His passer rating sat at 182.9, and just for good measure, he ran for 276 yards and 7 scores on the ground. Now the Raiders, under new offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, were not playing around. They traded up aggressively and grabbed Mendoza #1 overall. Tom Brady, who happens to be a minority owner of the Raiders, personally met with Mendoza during the pre-draft process and immediately posted a welcome message on Instagram calling him the future of the silver and black. But here's the wild part of the pre-draft process. Mendoza revealed at the NFL Combine that an unnamed team executive jokingly suggested he get arrested so he'd slide down the draft board. That's right, get arrested. Mendoza laughed it off in interviews and said he hoped he wouldn't actually have to get arrested. The story went viral, but did absolutely nothing to derail his selection. Off the field, this kid is the definition of family first. He turned down NIL opportunities that might have interfered with his development. His mother has multiple sclerosis, and Mendoza has spoken openly about how she's the reason he keeps pushing forward.
So she taught me to have unwavering optimism and that fortune favors the bold.
That right there tells you everything you need to know about how Mendoza approaches the game. He spoke about taking a swing on his career, betting on himself by transferring out of Cal, and his mom being the one who pushed him to take that leap. He even started the Mendoza Family Fund to help fight multiple sclerosis. And when asked about stepping into a struggling Raiders franchise that's had 4 straight losing seasons, he kept it humble and simple.
I'm just looking forward to doing my 1/11th. Every single play, every single game, every single season.
That's the energy. That's the mindset. That's why the Raiders are betting on him to bring this franchise back from the dead. The kid isn't promising championships. He's promising effort. And in Vegas, that might just be enough to flip the script. David Bailey. When the New York Jets walked up to that podium with the 2nd overall pick, they made David Bailey the highest drafted defensive player in franchise history. 6'3", 251 pounds, 14.5 sacks in his final college season at Texas Tech. The kid is an athletic, bendy pass rusher with an arsenal of moves and an elite first step. The Jets weren't just adding a piece, they were laying down a foundation. But Bailey's path to this moment wasn't paved with rose petals. The kid had real character concerns hanging over him heading into the draft. Back in October of 2025, after a Texas Tech loss to Arizona State, Bailey was named in a police report filed by veteran photographer Mark Rebelis. Video showed Bailey allegedly grabbing the photographer by the shoulders and neck after fans rushed the field. No charges were ever filed, but the incident created legitimate red flags. And before that, while he was still at Stanford in 2024, Bailey was ejected from a game for stomping on the helmet of a downed NC State player. Scouts called it dirty. Analysts called it concerning. The Jets actually canceled a scheduled top 30 visit with Bailey because of these issues, but Bailey kept his head down through the process and somehow worked his way back into their good graces. When asked about that canceled meeting, here's what he had to say.
Initially, I probably thought they're not gonna pick me.
He went on to talk about how his agent told him to trust the process and stay consistent, and ultimately, his elite production won out over his off-field history. He started really turning his career around after his sophomore year at Stanford, when his approach to film, rehab, and extra work did a complete 180. Bailey transferred from Stanford to Texas Tech, graduated early from Stanford, and put together one of the most dominant edge-rushing seasons in college football last year.
I got my pass rush stance, the 3-point stance get off from Aiden Hutchinson.
He talked about studying Von Miller religiously, watching his highlights, creating cut-ups on his phone, even going on the Tire Guide to emulate his moves on the weekends. The kid is obsessed with the craft. Now he's joining a Jets defense that already has Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Tremaine Edmonds. The pass rushing potential in that room is genuinely terrifying. And the off-field stuff? Well, the Jets clearly believe he's grown past it. We'll see if they're right. Jeremiyah Love. You don't take a running back number 3 overall unless you absolutely believe he's a once-in-a-generation talent. The Arizona Cardinals believed it. They invested heavily, guaranteed money, the works. Because Jeremiyah Love is exactly that kind of prospect. In 2025 alone, this kid rushed for 1,372 yards at 6.9 yards per carry with 18 touchdowns. Across his final 2 college seasons, he accounted for around 40 total touchdowns. He runs a 4.36 40-yard dash. He catches passes out of the backfield like a slot receiver. He's a true 3-down workhorse. Love grew up with parents who were both police officers and Army veterans. That's the kind of household that breeds discipline, and it shows in everything he does on the field.
We've worked so hard to get here. We sacrificed a lot to get here. My mom and dad, I've sacrificed a lot of their time.
He spoke about his sister going to school to be a nurse and how everyone in his family put in the work to get him to that podium. And when it comes to ball security, he had a coach named Dean McCullough drilling it into him from day one at Notre Dame.
Coach McCullough is the first person, when I came to college, to emphasize the importance of ball security. And
he talked about being given a beeper ball in his very first stretch line as a freshman and having to hold it through the whole warm-up. If it wasn't beeping the whole time, he had to redo everything. That's the level of detail that turns a good back into a great one. Pre-draft. Love made some headlines for being vocal about a couple of things. He admitted that he was tampered with by other college programs before his breakout 2025 season, accusing rival programs of sending direct texts and indirect outreach through his family. He also accused Texas A&M defenders of deliberately trying to injure him by ripping at his helmet and targeting his knees. Some saw it as fiery competitiveness. Scouts saw it as leadership. Either way, no arrests, no suspensions, no character concerns.
I'm on the hunt for something greater is one to convey that I'm not complacent.
He told reporters he wants to be a Hall of Famer by the end of his career. He even said he wanted to become a doctor before football took over his life. The kid is layered. The Cardinals just got a foundational piece for the next decade. Carnell Tate. The Tennessee Titans had a new quarterback in Cam Ward. Now they have a new number 1 receiver in Carnell Tate. The Ohio State product was the first wide receiver off the board in this draft, and he's exactly the kind of polished route runner you build around for years. Tate's pre-draft process had one weird controversy that briefly took over sports media. His official 40 time at the Combine came in at 4.53 seconds, but several NFL executives privately clocked him in the 4.45 to 4.47 range. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio publicly clashed over what the real number actually was. Some accused Ohio State of downplaying the official time. The whole thing turned into a brief media circus. But forget the 40 times. Carnell Tate has a personal story that hits different. He grew up in a tough Chicago neighborhood and lost his mother to violence at a young age. That tragedy fueled everything that came after.
Thankful to be in this position with him. And we're just thankful for the Titans organization for believing in me.
Tate was drafted alongside Auburn's Keldrick Falk, and the two of them took the plane ride down to Nashville together. Tate slept the whole way, by the way, because he didn't go to sleep until 4 in the morning after getting picked.
I think Coach Hart does a phenomenal job in pouring into us. He's played the game at the highest level.
He credited his college receivers coach for teaching him how to attack leverage and the details of route running, especially the transitions in and out of breaks. That's the stuff that separates open from covered at the next level. He also said he watches Calvin Ridley film and admires how Ridley perfects his craft. When asked what kind of identity the new Titans offense is going to have, Tate gave the perfect 2-word answer: fast and violent. He talked about wanting to play with Cam Ward, who loves to throw vertical balls down the field. And the connection between Ward and Tate could be one of the most fun young pairings in the league. The kid is from Chicago. He doesn't fish, but he's about to learn because his quarterback fishes as much as anyone in Tennessee. Arvell Reese. The New York Giants had Arvell Reese as the number 1 player on their entire draft board. Think about that for a second. Number 1, on their whole board. That's how much they believed in this kid out of Ohio State. He's a versatile edge linebacker hybrid with elite athleticism, sideline to sideline range, and the ability to rush the passer or drop into coverage. Reese had a bizarre pre-draft moment where he made a comment suggesting he struggles to play good in New York. Some interpreted it as him trying to subtly steer himself away from the Jets. He later clarified it was just honest self-assessment, but ironically, he ended up in New York anyway, just a different shade of blue. There was also a TikTok rumor that briefly circulated claiming he was banned from the NFL Combine. No credible reports ever confirmed any formal ban or suspension. It appears to have been pure misinformation that got blown out of proportion.
I'm feeling blessed right now. I'm excited right now, man.
Reese spoke about how much he loved the Giants coaching staff during the pre-draft process. He had dinner with Coach Bush and Coach Denard and said he could relate to how real they were with him. At Ohio State,
I sat down at dinner with Coach Denard, Coach Bush, and the advice I was getting from them, how much I could relate to them, and how real they were with me.
Reese played for NFL veteran defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. He talked about how Patricia helped him with his hand placement and the way he uses his hands as a pass rusher.
I think Coach Patricia helped and was a major role in the way, and he helped how I use my hands.
Reese also played that adjuster position for Patricia, which in any Bill Belichick disciple's defense requires elite intelligence and constant in-game adjustments. Coach Pete brought that role to him and showed him film of Jamie Collins as a comparison. The Giants are joining him with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Tremaine Edmonds. That's a defensive front that could become legendary fast, and Reese is right at the heart of it. Mansour Delane. The Kansas City Chiefs traded up aggressively to grab Mansour Delane at number 6 overall. He was the top cornerback in the entire 2026 draft class, a shutdown corner with length, ball skills, and the ability to mirror receivers across the field. Delane started his career at Virginia Tech before transferring to LSU for his final college season, where he allowed 0 touchdowns and minimal penalties in 2025. When the Chiefs called him on draft day, Delane was instantly emotional.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. When they called me, I just started crying.
He didn't even know who was talking on the other end. He was just saying thank you over and over again. By the time he could compose himself, he realized he'd been talking to Coach Reed and Mr. Veach, the Chiefs' general manager.
I think pressure and privilege, I don't really take it as if I got more weight on my shoulders.
Delane has the kind of mindset you want from a number 6 overall pick. He doesn't see pressure. He sees privilege. He talked about wanting to play for Coach Spagnuolo, the Chiefs' defensive coordinator, because of the flexibility and the way the scheme allows defensive backs to play ball with anticipation and knowledge.
I just really think there's no better opportunity. A lot of top 10 teams, they're really not good.
That's the kind of confidence you bring into a championship contender. Delane was reunited with his old Virginia Tech teammate Shamari Connor, who actually texted him 10 minutes before the draft and told him to let him know if he needed anything. He might have known something Delane didn't. And when asked about Tyrann Mathieu, the legendary Honey Badger, who also went from LSU to the NFL, Delane lit up. He said Mathieu welcomed him into the brotherhood the moment he stepped onto LSU's campus. Now he gets to follow in those footsteps with the Chiefs. Sonny Styles. The Washington Commanders went with another Ohio State product at number 7, grabbing Sonny Styles, the versatile linebacker safety hybrid who led the Buckeyes in tackles his final season. Some draft analysts, including former NFL general manager Mike Mayock, called him potentially the best player in the entire 2026 draft class. That's how high the ceiling is. Styles came from an NFL bloodline. His dad played in the league as a linebacker. He started his Ohio State career as a safety before transitioning to linebacker his sophomore year, and that move ended up unlocking his entire potential.
Yeah, so when I came in at safety my first 2 years, it's kind of what I've been playing my whole life.
He talked about how when he got to the end of his sophomore year, he wasn't where he wanted to be. So he sat down with the head coach and the defensive coordinator, made the switch, attacked the role, and the rest is history.
Coach Laurinaitis, obviously my position coach, he put a lot of belief in me.
Styles credited his position coach with telling him he was going to be a first-round pick after just a few games at the new position. That kind of belief from a coach is what propels a young player forward. Off the field, Styles has one of the most inspiring stories in this entire draft. He quietly cared for his mother through cancer treatments while never missing a practice or game at Ohio State. Teammates and coaches kept that story largely under wraps, but those who knew him knew exactly what kind of man they were dealing with.
I think I've worked for this moment to get here, to get to this level and exceed at this level.
A small TikTok rumor briefly claimed he was caught cheating with illegal cleats at the Combine. It got no traction in mainstream media and didn't affect his draft stock at all. The Commanders saw exactly what Mayock saw: a future star with the football IQ, leadership, and versatility to anchor their defense for years. Jordan Tyson. At number 8 overall, the New Orleans Saints grabbed Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. The Texas native was projected to go higher in some early mocks, but durability and toughness questions caused him to slip slightly. Tyson tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL as a freshman at Colorado before transferring to Arizona State, where he dealt with ankle and hamstring issues that caused him to miss games.
I never stopped working out, never got out of shape, never had to restart my soreness process.
That's the answer he gave when asked about his pre-draft process. The kid didn't stop working through any of it, and when it came to the doubts about his health, he had a complete plan ready to go.
I'm going to give myself the best opportunity to stay on the field and be as healthy as possible. I'm going to do everything in the weight room.
He talked about having his own chef, his own massage regimen on the same day every week, and a routine sewn down to a T. Tyson also revealed that his hips were the real issue all along, not his hamstring. He'd been overcompensating with strength because his hips were too tight. So now his entire training program focuses on getting the whole chain working together. At the combine, social media accused him of having illegal bench press reps because his glutes allegedly lifted off the bench. The NFL didn't nullify any of his lifts. Tyson grew 8 inches between his sophomore and junior years of high school. 8 inches. He was 5'4" as a sophomore and developed his entire work ethic in his junior year when his brother dragged him to the weight room instead of letting him play video games.
It's just where I came from. Like, I wasn't supposed to be here.
His brother is in the NBA, so the night Tyson got drafted, his brother was actually playing in a playoff game. Tyson hit a 3-pointer right after the Saints called him. 2 professional athletes in one family. The Saints just got a versatile playmaker who can line up anywhere on the field, and he's already ready for the New Orleans humidity. He's from Texas. As he said, that ain't nothing. Caleb Downs. The Dallas Cowboys traded up to number 11 to grab Caleb Downs, but in the spirit of this list, he's our number 9 star, because you don't trade up for a safety unless you absolutely believe in the kid. And Downs is exactly that. The Ohio State product is the most versatile defensive back in this class, a true playmaker who can play deep safety, slot, or come down and hit you in the box. Downs had a couple of minor controversies during his college career. He publicly accused Texas A&M of pumping artificial noise into Kyle Field. He also dealt with a pre-combine report that claimed he had a partially torn meniscus and possible degenerative ACL. His family pushed back hard against those reports, calling them inaccurate or overblown. There was also a situation where 2 Ohio State media members were fired for allegedly mishandling NIL funds intended for Downs, a $25,000 deal where he reportedly only received $5,000. Downs himself was never implicated.
Thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to be here. But really want to give a big shout out and appreciation to my parents.
His father, Gary, played in the NFL. His brother also played. His sister is in medical school. The Downs family is built different.
How we looked at it, continual improvement every day is the word that we use as our family, which is Kaizen.
That's a Japanese concept, continuous improvement. The kid grew up with a family that operates on a different mental level. His grandfather served in the military, and Cowboys owner Jerry Jones spoke at length about how impressed he was with the Downs family lineage.
I'm gonna just be me. I don't know. Be Ed Reed, I'm gonna just be Caleb Downs.
A Cowboys fan had told him during the press conference that he wanted Downs to be the next Ed Reed. Downs politely declined. He's going to be himself, and he's already calling out plays. Stories from his college days have come out about Downs calling out the entire route concept against an LSU offense as a freshman. The Cowboys just got a quarterback for their defense. Kaden Proctor. The Miami Dolphins traded down and grabbed Kaden Proctor at number 12, but his story is too big to leave out, literally. The kid is 6'7" and over 350 pounds. The new GM, John Erickson, is building this team on high character guys, and Proctor fits that bill, even if his journey to get here was a little wild. Proctor's pre-draft profile included some real maturity questions. Former Alabama coach Nick Saban publicly described him as not really a self-starter who put on weight when he was unsupervised. Iowa self-reported an NCAA Level 3 violation for impermissible contact with him. He even transferred from Iowa to Alabama and back in a complicated saga that drew tampering accusations.
I just took longer to really grasp it and, kind of understand that, you got to leave, some of the outside factors.
He talked openly about his freshman year when he allowed 12 sacks in the SEC at 17 years old. The kid had to grow up fast, and he did.
I really want to say shout out to, Ryan Smith and, my nutritionist that were Alabama, because they helped me a lot through that in that process.
Proctor lost 20 to 30 pounds by going to HotWorks, a hot fitness studio that runs at 130 degrees. He stopped eating after 7 p.m. He found a routine that worked for him.
Really just honing in and focusing and being the best learner that I can be, being around older guys that have been there and done that.
Now he's protecting his quarterback with Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer next to him on that line. Oh, and one weird fact, Proctor has over 340 bottles of cologne in his collection. Not 30, not 40, 340. He's got a problem, but it's a good problem. Makai Lemon. The Philadelphia Eagles traded up to number 20 to grab Makai Lemon, the 2025 Biletnikoff Award winner out of USC. Lemon posted over 1,156 receiving yards last season and was the most explosive contested catch receiver in the entire class. The Eagles needed a wide receiver with all the chatter around A.J. Brown's contract situation, and they made their move. Lemon had some awkward viral moments at his combine and pro day interviews. Some scouts and social media observers labeled his responses as disastrous. He came across as overly casual at times. It briefly fueled some character chatter, but none of it was actually serious. No legal issues, no real off-field incidents, just bad interview optics. His on-field production was impossible to ignore. The Biletnikoff Award is given to the best receiver in college football. Lemon won it. End of story. Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson posted a welcoming message on social media right after the pick, highlighting Lemon's contested catch skills and how he'll fit in the offense. There was even buzz that Cowboys edge Micah Parsons wanted to interview Lemon for his podcast. The Eagles see Lemon as an immediate impact player who can step into the offense from day one and create the kind of mismatches that turn good offenses into great ones. Spencer Fano. These three rookies represent the late first and early second round talent that drew the most pre-draft buzz. Spencer Fano went to the Cleveland Browns at number 9. The Utah offensive tackle is an Outland Trophy contender with elite athleticism and versatility. The Browns general manager Andrew Berry talked extensively about how Fano fits everything they're building on the offensive line. Clean off-field profile, strong work ethic, 0 red flags. Francis Mauigoa went to the New York Giants at number 10. The Miami offensive tackle is massive, strong, and an all-ACC performer. He sent a message to Jackson Dart, the Giants quarterback, after getting drafted. The Giants are loading up on the trenches, and Mauigoa is the cornerstone of that effort. He brings power, length, and a mean streak to a team that desperately needed an upgrade up front. Ty Simpson went to the Los Angeles Rams at number 13. The Alabama quarterback was the surprise of the entire first round. The Rams reached for him as a developmental piece behind Matthew Stafford. Simpson is accurate and poised, but wasn't viewed as a high-ceiling superstar. His Alabama teammate Kaden Proctor told the story best. Proctor said he had been telling Simpson for months that he was going to go in the first round to the Rams.
I've been telling Ty that, you're going to go first round and you're going to go to the Rams.
Proctor said Simpson wasn't even thinking about going to the draft until family, friends, and coaches convinced him otherwise. The two are now on opposite sides of the country, but the friendship runs deep. Simpson provides long-term insurance for the Rams behind Stafford and gives them flexibility for the future of the position. 3 rookies, 3 different teams, 3 different ceilings, but all 3 represent the kind of high-floor, pro-ready talent that defines a draft class. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.